What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your pre-market watch list. Today we got a couple things to cover for you. There's a couple stocks that are going around pre-market that are okay, and then we also have a couple earnings reports to probably look at. So first and foremost, we'll start here with NNVC. This has been probably the most popular stock so far this morning trading. And, well, for right now, it's not performing all that well. It's kind of more on the bearish side. So for the time being, we're pretty much going to be watching NNVC to fall down, more towards prices of even 760 to 750. So if I were to explain this one, we'll start here with the 4-hour chart. What we're going to do is put a price level here at 733. This is going to be a resistance level that ends up breaking out. And then we're going to look at the daily chart, and we're going to put a level here at 834. And then as we go back to the 1-minute chart, you'll see that first we resist going over 734. That was that first price point we put, right? And then second, we attempt, we fail. Third attempt, we finally break out the 734 resistance. When we break out, we go for a long move to our next long-term resistance, which then ends up breaking up and over because the momentum is so strong. So there was a projected move from about 730 of this breakout. Once it breaks out, you could say, all right, we have potential to go to 830. So there was a dollar potential up here. Momentum continued to be hot. We pressed over 830 all the way up to a high of 960. But theoretically, as you've gotten over this 830, you can see everyone started selling, sold the stock all the way back down to 830. It bounced as support, gets sold right back into, sold into more. Now we're below 830, and you can see candles are retesting it. So candle up, retest back down, candles up, retest back down, candles up, retest kind of back down. So we know that the 830 is a new developing kind of support level, or sorry, resistance level. So kind of expecting we'll see NNVC maybe even as far back down to 730, right, to retest kind of this breakout level. So for right now, we're not extremely bearish NNVC because we've already come from the overbought and we're selling back down. Now we're kind of on the fence of seeing a bounce and then seeing NNVC get sold into. So we are actively a little bearish this, So for right now, we're going to be a little bit more bearish going into the open on NNVC. All right, next one on the list we'll talk about is NIO. So NIO reported earnings went down. For right now, we're pretty much going to be watching NIO bearish going into today's trading and then looking for a bounce maybe tomorrow or later today. And, the reason for that is if you look at, well, let me also map this chart out here. Hold on. Properties, we'll change that green. Okay. Let me just double check. Ooh, actually, we're at a buy point on NIO here. Yeah, so really you should be watching, well, it's not just a buy point. I mean, it was really more of a buy point here. Then we retested here, bounce, we retested there, bounce, there, bounce. So if the market successfully goes below 46.66, this 46.66, 46.65 area, you could look for a short. The reason I say that is if you look at the daily chart, you'll see this little dotted line in here, right? So this is a half deviation. Put it simply, it's a support. So if that support breaks, you could say, okay, we're going to go lower. I mean, you can see we've already supported that price loan and that price level a couple times. So that's the support, 46.67, and a successful break below that can lead to a sell-off. And then if we were to continue selling off, we would maybe look for, so pretty much if in the event 46.65 truly breaks and there is a big sell down today on NIO, we could say next level that we'd want to try to support the market at will be 43.90. So again, if market snaps, goes to 43.90 today, we'd look for a dip buy bounce here, and that would be the next new support. So let me map that out. We'll change that to green. Okay, so now when we go in the 1-minute chart, that's our buy zone for NIO today. So if NIO somehow magically got really bearish and broke from 46.70s, went all the way down towards 44s, we would buy there. Okay, that's where you'd be long. Okay. If NIO doesn't break down this 46.70s, then you're just going to see it probably kind of chop sideways in between this zone. This yellow line is the previous day low day. So, you can kind of see this has been acting as somewhat of a resistance. So if we don't break this 46.70s, we anticipate you're going to see a kind of a choppy day, maybe inside those price points. But those are kind of your breakdown and breakup points, right? So breakup is around 47.60, breakdowns around 46.66. If you broke down and got crushed, your support to dip by that market low risk would be around 44.20 to 44. And that's pretty much all we got for you there on NIO, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so next thing coming up here this morning, is going to be this SESN. I just want to look, wait, or is it, what was it? SENS maybe. So earlier this was moving okay. This is more of a notable mention because they got some pretty good news this morning, and the setup they're in could lead to maybe a squeeze or a bounce back up to 455. So I'll briefly touch on this. So market here is overbought, sells down, goes through its first bounce. Then it pulls back and it consolidates. So now it's created sort of a higher low. Okay, so now you've kind of created a higher low. If there's anybody left over that's short from this move that hasn't gotten out yet, or anybody willing to dip by, you could see this move maybe squeeze up more towards 455. Now, the reason I say that is if we go and look at the daily chart, daily chart has resistance at 459. So if this market's really strong here on SENS, then we would expect this kind of consolidation zone to hold and then break back up towards 457. And really the only reason we think it can do that is because of the hold here. You can see we're kind of channeling down and we squeezed up. So what you'd be looking for to see that occur is the price of SENS continue to stay above 367. So as long as the price of SENS is staying over $3.67, then there's a pretty decent chance you have to see the stock maybe push more towards 450 or even 430s. All right. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So there's a good chance that you will see SENS retrace all the way back down towards the price of 368. And then if it can sustain over these prices, maybe going into tomorrow, then you could suggest, okay, this has the opportunity to continue higher. All right, another stock that we'll touch on is Zoom. So Zoom reported earnings. We're kind of becoming more long bias on Zoom, but don't really think you're going to see, the move today necessarily. All right, so I will just tell you right now, this $4.58 right here, this price, 458, that's resistance. Okay, so let's show you what we're talking about. If we go to a 4-hour chart here, all right, you look at right there, ding. See that diagonal line in there? All right, so the way we would look at this is, okay, Zoom goes for its sell-off, it consolidates in the lower risk buy zone, they reported earnings, and the stock moves from one deviation on the down, squeezes all the way back up to statistical average. So again, look at how accurate this is. It just moves right there, perfect top. All right, so if you knew where that regression trend was, you could have started selling in this 458 zone. So yesterday there was probably some people selling in the 458s. They might have swung overnight. They're probably dip buying and covering, and a little up move. So realistically, this 457, 458, that's where the resistance is at on the daily chart. And then we probably have support somewhere around 430s in the pullback. Okay, so we haven't quite reached 430, but we got as low as 430, 483. So we went from basically 460, pulled back almost to 430, right? So this was that 4-hour resistance, and this was the daily chart support, right? So you can kind of see how that works. Hold on one second. There we go. So you can kind of see how that worked, right? So on the 4-hour, we shot up to trend. And on the daily chart, we're pulling back to the green. So for me right now, the 430s is kind of the low risk long for Zoom. So if we see this maybe down towards 430, I might start watching it long to try to support the market there and see if we reverse a bounce on Zoom today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much everything that we had on our watch list. So we're watching Zoom, we're watching NIO, and we're watching NNVC. So with that being said, everybody, take care, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next watch list.